Now, let's start very quickly with the latest news concerning our military troops on standby to Niger Republic. So yesterday, under the leadership of President Tinubu, Ecowas has agreed to have the military on standby to restore constitutional rule in Niger Republic. Now, this appears to be a rather unpopular opinion amongst Nigerians and even citizens across the Ecowas community. What are your thoughts on this? How do you react to this rather unpopular decision by the heads of states across ECOWAS?
Thank you very much, Marayo. So effectively, what we can tell Nigerians this morning is that all measures, all options remain on the table as of this morning. Some of your question was cut out by a bit of interference, but I would say that clearly His Excellency, the chairman of the Ecowas Authority of Heads of State, and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Tinubu, demonstrated extraordinary leadership yesterday, really galvanizing all of the heads of state across language barriers to come to a unanimous and consensus position on all components of the response of the ECOWAS authority with respect to the crisis in Niger. What we have seen is there has been some attempt on the part of some segments of the media to really kind of run a little bit faster than their legs a bit in reporting that we've seen headlines that ECOWAS has ordered military force against Niger and all sorts of very sensational headlines that we find irresponsible. But this morning we want to clarify and ensure that everyone understands that yes, indeed it is true that the ECOWAS did authorize the committee of ECOWAS defense chiefs or chiefs of defense staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force and all of its ancillaries to ensure that even as all options remain on the table, that those options as they are on the table are fully prepared to go with respect to whatever decision ultimately needs to be made as we wind up this crisis. But also we should emphasize that Mr. President was very, very clear in his remarks that military intervention is a means of last resort. It is not an immediate step. It is not something that we're looking to do in any kind of immediate term. It is a last resort. But to take it off the table in view of what we've seen in Niger with respect to the detention of President Bazoum and his family and members of his government, we believe that would be irresponsible. So all options still do remain on the table.
All right. Great.
So for me, still talking about the Niger junta and the fact that a lot of advice have come in that where we are as a country, where we are financially, where we are with our own in-house insecurity challenges, is it even a move to consider that we will be taking military action, if necessary, against another sovereign nation because we feel that it is necessary as ECOWAS? And so I'd like you to help us get the perspective of the president regarding that economical and insecurity within Nigeria and its impact if we decide to go into a physical military fight with Niger.
So unfortunately, there's a bit of a technical difficulty, so I'm not receiving your question clearly.
I don't know how to. Let me try and say it again. We would like to get the president's perspective on how he's responding to the fact that we do have a lot of financial and insecurity challenges within our country, and many Nigerians feel it is not the right time to go into a military offensive with Niger. What is his response to that?
Oh, thank you very much. I heard you very clearly. Yes. So this is a legitimate concern on the part of our people. President Tinubu is certainly aware, more keenly, more acutely aware of the consequences of potential military intervention in Niger Republic than anybody else. He sees the balance sheets. He knows exactly what's going on in the country. He knows the challenges currently facing our people across increasing energy prices and food prices and other challenges in the country. He also recognizes, as the chairperson of the Ecowas Authority of Heads of State and as the president of our country, that simply sitting back and watching the hostile takeover of nation states by rogue actors is an unsustainable means of development for the entire continent, including Nigeria, if we allow it to continue unchecked. Already, I think we have, as a kind of public analysis in the country, there's been a tendency to overlook the fact that already the sub-region has experienced 3 coups over the course of the last 3.5 years. Everyone's fixated rightly on Niger, but there's a history to this. And the reason why we've seen over the course of the last 20 years so little, coup activity, and then all of a sudden this explosion of 3 coups in the sub-region in the last 3.5 years, it's simply because the previous coup attempts in these other countries that proved to be successful were not responded to by Ecowas. And we've seen the consequence of it. So the question now is, how do we create jobs for our people in the country? Is it not going to be by attracting foreign direct investment? Is it not going to be by ensuring that we have secured our nation within our borders in such a way that we can have the facilities established in place so that our people can be employed and so that wealth can be generated and tax revenue can be generated and the like? This is how we're going to do it. But if we continue to allow rogue actors within nations to simply take up arms against the state and take over the way that we've seen it occur in Niger Republic, then that is going to continue to happen, which means that you're not going to have foreign investors coming here. They will look for other continents, or at least at the minimum other parts of this continent to invest in. It is not in our medium to long-term interest to simply sit back in any kind of a cowardly fashion and say, well, we don't want to get involved with anything because we're scared of the potential consequence. We tried the meek and a kind of appeasement approach over the course of the last 3 coups we saw, but now it's hitting close to home, and there's a decision to be made. So what we are saying is that we are in no hurry at all. Mr. President has been very, very wise, been very circumspect about all factors that will go into any kind of collective decision as it relates to military intervention. But that is not our focus now. Our focus now is championing the cause of diplomacy and direct and active dialogue until we come to what hopefully should be a peaceful resolution of this crisis. But we will not back down and say that because we're scared of confrontation, we're going to take the military option off the table. That's not who we are, and that's not what we're going to do.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation with Ajuri. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Ajuri, still with us?
Absolutely.
Right. So let me ask you one final question concerning Niger before we move on to other segments. Now, word on the street is many have actually expressed their concerns, legitimate concerns, if you may, of the reason of those who are supporting the military junta, saying that it's about the dominance of France in their country and corruption allegations against the detained president, amongst other things. Some have said that this is a time to take their country back into their own hands. Although ECOWAS would prefer a more democratic approach rather than a coup, is there any sort of middle ground ECOWAS is considering, saying, instead of insisting on Bazoum's resumption as president, maybe some kind of democratic transition into a different presidency or something that can make things work out, rather than bringing Bazoum, because they're insisting that Bazoum shouldn't become president back?
Times when discussing this issue of a homeowner who takes good care of his staff, equips the security, makes sure that everything is in order, and then one night the security guard decides that he's going to hold the homeowner hostage in his own home with his family, essentially, and that he's going to take over the entire, home complex, so to speak. And the question now is, if you're a neighbor of such a home, and you have an established relationship, in fact, You're even a partner in investment in infrastructure projects like railways and all sorts of commercial ties between our two nation states. And you have the populations of both countries very, very close. In the northern part of our country, our people are intermarrying frequently with Nigerians. I mean, the ties are very, very tight and very, very deep. What we are saying is that right now in Niger Republic, anybody who is pro-democracy, anybody who cast their ballot just 2 years ago for President Bazoum and his political party, anybody who is anti-authoritarian rule, cannot freely come out today in Niger Republic and voice their opinion. It's impossible. You're going to be under the threat of either a beatdown, detention, or potentially death, if not all three. So what we are saying is that the notion that you fill a stadium with people, and we all know that elite figures in society have the ability to mobilize people into stadiums, as it were. The notion that that is representative of the entire population of Niger Republic, when we know that everybody that is pro-democracy in that country is currently under forceful suppression, I think is just a misunderstanding of the situation. So what we are saying is that we are going to stand up as a community, Ecowas, not just Nigeria in isolation, not just President Pres.Tinubu in isolation, but the entire Ecowas community has been very clear across language barriers that we will stand with the voiceless people of the Niger Republic and ensure that we engage on their behalf the way that we would hope anyone would engage on our behalf if we were found in a similar situation. And that's what we're going to continue to do.